Nice to meet everyone. Hey, congratulations on your new film, This Too Shall Pass.
Thank
Thank
you
you
very
so much.
much.
We always love these, coming of age stories, especially the fact that, being such a, I hate to call it a period piece because that was the time when I actually grew up. But, but let me throw the first question. Rob, tell us where the original idea came from for This Too Shall Pass.
Sure. Producer Michael Baker is Simon. He was 16, grew up in the Mormon church, and had a crazy weekend to Ottawa to chase a girl that did not reciprocate the same feelings he thought. I was just coming off of my last movie, was in the middle of a pandemic bubble, didn't know what the heck to do. I was introduced to Michael, who wanted me to come on and help write the project for him. And I was like, coming from a genre movie, I was like, I don't know if I'm the right fit for this. But the more we spoke, the more I could relate with my Catholic guilt growing up, and the more I could find moments of horror tension versus comedic tension, and like just how teenagers, like social situations, finding like relationships is all life or death experiences. I just found more and more spots that I was like, oh, my sensibilities actually are built for an awkward, really awkward version of this. And so I originally only wanted to write it, but I fell in love with the writing of it. I fell in love with the script. So when I handed it in to Michael, I said, if I won't ask to stay on as director, but if he comes to me, I'll take it as a sign. And a second I handed it in, he read it. He's like, "So when are we shooting it?" And I was like, "Okay, I guess that's a sign." So that's kind of how it all happened.
Well, it did happen, and here we are.
Yeah.
Maxwell, Jeremy, tell us what initially drew you, or what drew you to this project.
Sure. Do
Well, initially, Rob reached out to me, and we had some really great conversations about the story. And I'm a man of faith as well, so I kind of had to have some discussions about exactly what the overarching story was. And once we kind of talked about the fact that it's not about the religion, it's about the fact that there are certain demographics that just are restrictive, and this just happens to be, one of those things where that can happen. And so it's a beautiful story that I feel like needs to be told, and it's a really cool project to be a part of. I've done the 80s thing a couple times, but I've never played a character like Chris. And so this was a new thing for me. And the raging alcoholic, that there's more to him than you can really tell. And so he's got a beautiful arc that I really think needs to be seen. So
Maxwell?
Pretty similar. I got the script over and got to talk with Rob about it. And I mean, beyond just like having a great conversation about the script and realizing like this dude can totally make this movie and really gets it. And has just an absolute love for this time period. And I also think we talked about a shared love of snow sports and some pretty gnarly accidents on snow sports, and just realized it would be a pretty really fun time on set, if this is the type of group that we were assembling. So that's always important to me because I mean that's really family for the duration of filming. It's the people you see every day for like 10-12 hours a day. Um, but then similar to Jeremy is that I mean, I didn't grow up religious really, but what drew me to the character was that it is a story that can be detached from the Mormonism and the time period, and um, be still told anywhere, and be a universal kind of experience to just growing up, and in terms of what it means to want to be something that defies the expectations of your upbringing, and finding a way to come to terms with that and still feel like a good person. Um, so I think that is was really enticing as an actor.
Well said. Rob, period pieces are always tricky, especially with the 80s and 90s, because we always think of nostalgia. And one of the biggest nostalgic things that we always like to think about is the music. Tell us about the playlist that you wanted to present into this film.
Yeah, it would, this is where we're in the Stranger Things era, which is kind of, if you're gonna do an 80s nostalgic reference, that's kind of it right now. So it was really important to me that we didn't do that. So, from the hop, we wanted to make sure that it had a dirtier, grungier, lived-in feel. And my recollection of 80s is late 80s is tobacco-soaked carpets and wood-paneled walls, and on the cusp of grunge. So we used that kind of as the kickoff for the music as well. It's like, don't do the synth, no synth, none of the synth stuff except for the Forever Young, which opens the movie that then slowly devolves until you realize he's in a situation he shouldn't be in. And then after that, we kind of made sure we stuck with, more of the rock stuff. Um, the House Martins that was written, two songs were written into the script, House Martins and The Cure's In Between Days. Those were our first things to attack. And so once Robert's, I guess through our wonderful music supervisor Natasha Dupree, Robert Smith and The Cure agreed to come on board because we had to print the record live for the day. And then that kind of started a waterfall that the other bands were like, oh, if Robert Smith thinks this is a good idea, then we're going to do it too. And we kind of just somehow got very lucky with a really, really expensive soundtrack in a movie that has no business affording it. Uh, but yeah, the tone was to just avoid, the classic 80s synth that you have in your head that you can think of that would hit the nostalgia button, but wouldn't be true to the type of story that we were trying to tell.
Now, speaking of music, Maxwell, you get to play and sing in this film. So tell us how much of a musician are you really, or did you have to prep for this?
I'm a pretty big musician. That was it's always fun when I get to bridge those two worlds because I do both separately. Um, a lot of the time I've been playing mandolin since I was 3 years old and then guitar since I was 11 or so, 10 or 11. And then I played, bass and a little bit of piano that I picked up along the way and drums. So definitely a big musician. I'm in a band out here in LA. And I think the challenge with that scene was like Rob switched it to mandolin when he found out that I could play mandolin, which I think added a whole nother level to it where it's like he's trying to figure out this. He's just so caught off guard because now he's got to figure out how to play this instrument for this girl that he likes, and he doesn't know how to play mandolin. So we spent quite a bit of time figuring out walking that fine line, that tightrope between making it sound like this kid has the chops to actually maybe play some music, but also it's his first time picking up a mandolin, and what does his theory knowledge tell him from guitar that can translate over to mandolin?
Wow. Jeremy, I've seen you in quite a few movies, and you always play, that lovable best friend. Do you feel like you're being boxed in sometimes when you keep on getting these type of characters to be in?
I don't think so, no. I think it's easy to see it as a box when you are a kid because, as an adult, you play adults and there's no changing that, right? So like for the rest of my life, I'll be an adult, and so I'm enjoying the kid roles that I can get while I'm still a kid. And when I transition into being an adult actor, that'll happen naturally, and I'm not too worried about it. I know that you know growing up, you're like, oh, I want to be older, I want to be older, and then as soon as you get older, you're like, okay, I want to be younger. So I'm trying to realize I'm in the good times when I'm in the good times, kind of thing, I guess. But no, and I just did another movie that was a little bit more rated R as well too. So I'm figuring it out, and I'm not too worried about it. And so no, I don't feel like I'm being boxed in. At least it's not an 80s horror. That would be, I've kind of gotten pigeonholed into the 80s horror remakes. So this is still relatively new for me, and although it's lovable, it's a different kind of lovable. It's just like, oh, I want to help you, and the other kids are like, oh, I just want to hug you. So this is, two different kinds of lovable. And no, I think this is a great opportunity, and I think this does show a different arc for sure.
For sure. Maxwell, almost a similar question, but how did you feel playing, a younger character in this film?
Sure. Well, when I filmed it, I was Simon's age. I
Oh.
was 18. And actually, so that really helped out. I was just freshly out of high school. I had just graduated and was off into this kind of unknown, moving out to college 2,000 miles away from where I grew up and going on my own journey, per se, and figuring out what it means to be me not living with my parents and not surrounded by that, me by myself, who is Max Jenkins. So that was honestly, I feel like it was one of the only times I actually played someone my age because I have such a baby face. I usually play a few years younger.
And Rob, directing, this film, how much nostalgia did you personally go through, as you're proceeding through the production?
It came at the exact right time for my midlife crisis. Um, you know, I put a lot of myself into this movie, into every single one of the characters. Most of the conversations that are had out loud are based on stuff that I've said out loud or that I think about pretty persistently. So it was very cathartic to kind of have this, like, for example, the lemonade vendor happened to me in my comp science class in high school. There's so much of me in this movie that I feel, yeah, it was very therapeutic. And then to be able to bring on, it was very important to us too to also not cast 25-year-olds playing teenagers. It was like to find age appropriate people that kind of are potentially going through some of these bigger life questions as well, and to live the parts. And I think through our casting, the diligent casting, our wonderful casting director Coco Kleppinger, and the producers kind of gave us the freedom to put together like what I consider is like a really terrific ensemble that I think people are going to look back on and go, "Holy crap, that's a pretty solid group of actors that got to work together in one room." So it's, yeah, nothing but cathartic. I feel like I'm now. It helped me get through the back end of my midlife crisis, so I'm doing good.
Well, I do certainly love about that, about this movie, is because, back in 1989, I was about 16 myself, as I'm aging myself for the young actors in this meeting. But for, both of you, Maxwell and Jeremy, I know Jeremy has been in through a lot of, period pieces, back in the 80s, but how exciting what do you think of that time period, where we have like records and, CDs or even phone booths, or is this something that, you could never still grasp the life of what it was over 30 plus years ago?
No, I mean, I think part of our job is to just not seem like kids of the 21st century a lot of the time is to figure out how to move through time and do research. It's everyone's like, "Oh, it's very artistic and creative," which it is, but it's also a pretty academic gig sometimes. And that's what I love about that is the research and the homework aspect of it. I'm a pretty big academic myself. I'm over here at UCLA studying political theory right now. So I mean, even that, just studying the political climate at the time, kind of coincided with me starting my major up at UCLA, and the neoliberalism, Reaganomics, trickle down theory, the deregulation that was happening at the time, kind of this um, the beginning of the disillusionment of young America with our invincibility and how that influences coming of age in the time, um, was all was all tangible and palpable and there if you wanted to read about it.
I wish I
Jeremy,
had
you.
that much of an academic answer, but I don't. I'm just gonna say I love the music. No, I have done the 80s thing, obviously, and so I've always loved that kind of thing. I love the slang, and I love records. I kind of collect records. It's not a big collection by any means, but we have album covers and stuff like that. But I think people can really tell a really cool story on the vinyl itself, and so I love records, and I love the time period that I'm in, and I'm not one of those people who thinks that I was born in the wrong era or anything like that. I think everything happens for a reason, but I do love and respect uh, 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. I love them all, and I'm a big audiophile, so the music is definitely a huge thing for me. And my wife makes fun of me for being an old man. I love crosswords and I love my 80s music, so it's yeah, I love the 80s and obviously respect that time period a lot.
And I'm curious for both Jeremy and Maxwell, did you, both have to, find that film, Say Anything, to watch that John Cusack scene?
I had already seen it. I'm a Chicago guy, so any Cusack stuff's right up my alley.
One thing that most people hate about me is that I'm completely uncultured and basically haven't watched anything. So I think Rob would come to me a lot and be like, "So it's like it's from this." I'm like, "Hmm, that one, right? Okay, yeah. Well, let's take that one." So no, I had not seen that. Obviously, I know the trope, but I had never seen. the movie myself, which is, I know, totally disgusting of me, but
Well said. Well, I'm going to wrap it up with one last question. I'm going to throw this to you, Rob. What is up with all the cat pics in this film?
oh, that's
That's
funny. Oh, I love
yeah.
that.
Well, there's my cat's just
I see
sleeping
your
behind me.
cat. Yeah.
No, I'm obsessed with cats. I got a really grouchy, old, mean, feral cat, but he's the love of my life. And I think it was just out of needing some sort of way to show the presence of the aunt, but not having her there. And it just evolved step by step from like it was just going to be portraits of her to then it's like, no, we got to get the cat. It just ballooned. But it's an inside joke to my love of cats, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Well, it's a wonderful Easter egg into the film. Everyone, thank you very much for speaking to us about This Too Shall Pass.
Yeah.
It is a wonderful film that everyone should check out. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
Thank
so
you,
you.
much.
good.